Have you ever struggled to forgive someone? I mean, really struggled. When someone hurts you deeply, letting go of that pain can feel almost impossible. It's a universal human experience. And there's a powerful story from thousands of years ago that speaks directly to this challenge. It's called the parable of the unforgiving servant. And it offers a perspective that might just change how you view forgiveness forever. Imagine a king, a powerful and wealthy ruler. One day, he decides to settle accounts with his servants. One servant is brought before him who owes an astronomical amount of money. We're talking 10,000 talents. To put that in perspective, 1 talent was worth about 20 years of a laborer's wages. So this servant owed something like 200,000 years worth of work. It was a debt so massive, so impossibly large, that he could never ever hope to repay it in 100 lifetimes. Faced with this crushing debt, the servant falls to his knees. He begs the king, "Be patient with me, and I will pay back everything." Now, both he and the king know this is an empty promise. There's no way he could ever make good on it. But in that moment of desperation, he says what anyone would. He pleads for mercy, for more time. And what does the king do? He does something completely unexpected. He doesn't just give him more time. The king is moved with compassion. He looks at this desperate man, understands the hopelessness of his situation, and decides to do the unthinkable. He cancels the debt completely. He forgives it all. Can you imagine the relief? The sheer overwhelming joy and freedom that servant must have felt. He was given a clean slate, a new beginning he did absolutely nothing to earn. He was free from a burden that would have crushed him and his family for generations. Now, you'd think this servant would be the most grateful, most merciful person on the planet, right? He's just experienced a level of grace that is almost beyond comprehension. But what happens next is shocking. As this servant leaves the king's presence, filled with relief, he bumps into a fellow servant. This other servant owes him money 100 denarii. A denarius was about a day's wage. So it was a debt of about 3 months' pay. Now, that's not nothing, but compared to the mountain of debt that was just forgiven, it's a tiny little anthill. But how does our newly forgiven servant react? Does he remember the mercy he just received? No. He grabs his fellow servant by the throat and demands, "Pay what you owe me." The other servant falls to his knees and pleads with him, using the exact same words. "Be patient with me, and I will pay it back." It's the same plea for mercy, but our first servant refuses. He shows no compassion, no patience. Instead, he has his fellow servant thrown into prison until the debt can be paid. The other servants who witness this are appalled. They can't believe the hypocrisy and cruelty, so they go and tell the king everything that happened. The king is furious. He summons the unforgiving servant back. He says to him, "You wicked servant, I cancelled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you?" The king, his patience now gone, hands the unforgiving servant over to be punished until he can pay back all he owed the original impossible debt. His lack of forgiveness for a small offense cost him everything. This story is a powerful metaphor for our own lives. The massive, unpayable debt represents our own shortcomings, our mistakes, the ways we fall short. The king represents a source of ultimate grace and mercy for many. This is God. We are all offered a level of forgiveness that we could never earn. We are given a clean slate, a chance to start over, free from the weight of our past. The parable asks us a tough question. If we have been forgiven so much, how can we then turn around and refuse to forgive the much smaller debts owed to us by others? When we hold on to grudges, when we harbor resentment and refuse to let go of the hurt others have caused us, we are acting like that unforgiving servant. We are essentially telling the universe, the mercy I received was for me. But it doesn't apply to others. Holding on to unforgiveness doesn't just hurt the other person, it imprisons us. It builds a wall around our hearts and blocks the flow of grace and peace in our own lives. Just as the servant's punishment was reinstated, our refusal to forgive can chain us to the very negativity we refuse to let go of. Forgiveness isn't about saying what the other person did was okay. It's not about letting them off the hook. It's about letting ourselves off the hook. It's about releasing the burden of anger and resentment so that we can be free. It's about recognizing the incredible grace we've received and allowing that grace to flow through us to others. So, the next time you're struggling to forgive, remember this parable. Think about the mountain of debt you've been forgiven, and then look at the anthill of debt you're holding against someone else. Choose freedom, choose mercy. Forgive as you have been forgiven. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that helps us navigate life's biggest questions. See you in the next video.